Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your Elimination Chamber review. So, this was probably one of the most boring shows I ever fucking watched. And, you know, to make matters worse, during the event, they had to make the announcement that now there's not only going to be, just, you know, one pay-per-view between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. You know, tradition has always been that there's been at least just one pay-per-view between the two. You know, it was usually Royal Rumble, then No Way Out, and then you would have WrestleMania. And then somewhere along the way, they changed No Way Out into Elimination Chamber. Then they made it Fastlane, and then they took that away. And, you know, usually there's only been like one pay-per-view between the two. And now they got the bright idea to do another one. I mean, okay. So at least with this show, they didn't go the full 4 hours. It was quite obvious they had nothing to show. You know, just one world title match. You had the IC title. You know, only one of the tag belts was on the line aside from the women's. You know, no US title. You know, all these fucking titles, they got titles coming out of their asses. And they only had, you know, just a few of them on the line. And really, there was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches altogether. 6 matches in the span of 3 hours. I mean, really now. I mean, you know, so thank God they did not go more than that. That they didn't use more than what they needed in the allotted time. So let's get through this. I mean, honestly, they're gonna have Fastlane, you know, like a month from now, less than a month from now. I mean, honestly, really, like, even after this show, it's like they should have fucking canceled that announcement the minute, you know, the show started turning out the way that it did. And do we really expect it to be any different? We started off the night with, as I predicted, Sasha Banks and Bayley winning the tag belts. You know, they built them up as a team. You know, they had to get their asses kicked on TV. They barely even made them look heroic. The past few weeks, you know, they were pretty much burying them on TV. And now all of a sudden they were, you know, oh, big heroes. You know, you deserve it at the end. Oh, so cringy. Just, you know, seeing them up there, that was so fucking cringy as hell. I mean, I was like wincing at it. I was like, are we really gonna do this? I mean, oh my god, this was like hard to watch. I mean, they were just, you know, like, oh, this is a big moment for me. It's like they shouldn't even have tag belts for the women. I mean, it's enough already. You know, every single fucking show that they do nowadays with some type of gimmick, the women gotta do it too. And I wouldn't have a problem with that. But the thing is, well, I would have a problem with that because most of their matches are just not good. But aside from that, it's like every single time they do a gimmick match, these gimmick matches are not exactly short matches. TLC, Royal Rumble, you know, Money in the Bank matches, these are not quick one and done 10-minute matches. They're usually a half an hour, 45 minutes. The Royal Rumble is pretty much always over an hour. So it's very hard to watch and very hard to sit here and review these shows because most of the time, like tonight, I'm watching pretty much the entire show. I watch it in clips for Raw and SmackDown because I can't take that shit. You know, and I think most of you have cut me a break on that, which I appreciate because, you know, it's hard enough watching these fucking pay-per-views. You know, so, because the thing is, to make a comprehensive review, I don't need to watch the entire show. But for the pay-per-view, it's mostly matches. And, you know, once in a while, I'll fast forward. But this time, I didn't. You know, I picked up the Elimination Chamber, the women's match, a little bit late. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, that's okay. Because I saw all I needed to see with that one. I mean, there's nothing more that I'm gonna, you know, miss out. that I won't be able to review the show properly. So whatever the case may be, the match, just they were taking 1,000 fucking risks. You had the Riot Squad jumping off of the pods, and I'm just saying to myself, they're doing all this, and for what? We're not even gonna remember this match a month from now. And I'm watching, like the Iconics like getting tossed into the cages, and like these girls are like not even 100 pounds, and they're fucking like throwing them around like fucking rag dolls. Women's equality. I get it and all that. Not saying I'm not for that, but when it comes to wrestling, it's like, let's get real here for a minute. Like Liv Morgan is not going to be able to take as much punishment as, even fucking Finn Balor, for God's sakes. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a biological thing. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people like to deny biology, but it's just the bone structure and everything, and it's the way how the male body's made up. It's like they can't have these same matches, and and fuck that. It's just that it takes too damn long. I'm watching this saying, okay, let's bring it home already, because we gotta go. I have to sit through another Elimination Chamber match. It's like, man, and then you gotta, that's how you're thinking about these shows when you watch them. You're like, oh man, this is next, and I gotta wait for this match. Okay, there wasn't that many matches, but they were trying to space things out. But you already knew, like, when was the last time you saw a short Elimination Chamber match? They just don't do those. So, I'm sitting here, I'm watching the show, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is taking way too goddamn long. They're stalling for time. Oh, come on already, guys. Like, just, and then at the end, it's like, you deserve it, just, as you thought, and they're looking at each other, almost like they're about to kiss. It kind of brought me back to a few months ago, when they were going to do that romantic lesbian angle type of thing, but then, they jerked the rug out from under them on that one, because it was too edgy. But it was like, they're looking at each other, and it looked like more like, they were in love than happy to win the titles. But I don't know. Those titles, look like they're like, doesn't it kind of look more like a title from TNA? Like, doesn't that look like the Knockouts belt? It did to me anyway. Anyway, we move on to the Usos as they defeat The Miz and Shane McMahon. So much for that tag title run. So much for that tag team. Not even a month has gone by. Not even one pay-per-view has gone by. The Royal Rumble less than a fucking month ago. 3 weeks ago or some shit like that. And they've already lost the titles. They already have taken the belts off of them. And I'm not really understanding that. Like, so why did we go through all this? Why did they go through the whole entire shebang and storyline just so we could just fucking take the titles off of them? And I'm thinking maybe at the end, okay, The Miz is going to go through the whole charade, and, maybe he's going to, like, beat up on Shane or something like that, or maybe Shane's going to turn heel on The Miz, and that doesn't happen. They're in the back, and Shane's getting looked over by the doctor, the trainer, whatever, and, he's just like, go home, Mike, go home, and, Miz is all upset and everything, and, and of course, at least, what was it, Corey Graves asked the question, what I've been saying, and I don't like Corey Graves, but at least, it was said, like, how is the Miz's dad not proud of him for winning the WWE Championship? Like, what's the big deal with these fucking tag titles? It's like no one even cares about the tag titles. A lot of the smarks, they like to, pretend like they like the tag titles, that they're all for the tag titles. Oh, the revival, a dream come true. No one really cares about the tag belts. We don't have the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge and Christian anymore. We don't have the Legion of Doom or Demolition. All the cool tag teams are out. We got New Day, and I like the Usos, but come on, the days of great tag team wrestling are far behind us. So they've killed the storyline already, and not that I'm disappointed in that, but you know what I hate the most? like, even though the storyline is bad, they dedicated so much time to it. At least stay committed to it. At least stay committed to your own storyline that you wasted all of our time trying to develop. It was one of the few storylines that you did have, and you spent all the time on it trying to, you know, pouring, you know, like hours and hours when you add up all the long segments that they were involved in. And then you just fucking say, oh, you know what, we're just going to take the titles off and give the Usos another tag title run. Okay, so, you know, it's like, and there's not even any other, like, tag team. So we could just see the Usos versus The Bar and the Usos versus New Day 1,000 more times. And maybe they'll even give us a Fatal 4-Way match. I mean, what are they doing, seriously? Remember A Fresh Start? Remember that shit that they were gonna change things up? I mean, like, you know, you bring in this new team for whatever reason, so it's like, okay, so you're gonna at least put these two guys together. Well, at least do something with them. Oh, what? No, you're not gonna do that. You're just gonna basically tear them apart again. Like, what was the point? It's like I get annoyed thinking about it, because it's like you dedicated all this time on TV, and then you don't even have the decency to have any type of conclusion or maybe something after the match, you know, a little bit of a fallout. No, it's just the Miz just really angry. Oh, darn it. I mean, just, oh God, I mean, I just, you know, the bare minimum here, and not even the bare minimum, it's just them not even giving a fuck. Like, the owner of the company's son is involved in the match, and they can't even be bothered to at least make this, you know, mean something. Then you had Finn Balor, and no, he doesn't just defeat Lashley, he defeats Lio Rush. See, but they had a handicap match for the IC title. So what he does is he dives onto Lashley, then runs back in the ring and does his little toddler, you know, temper tantrum stomp onto Lio Rush, and he beats him, and now he's the IC champ. So, you know, you can see the problem here. So then, you know, Lashley gets mad, he turns on Lio Rush. That's the end of that friendship, I guess. Whatever. Good. It was getting stale anyway. You know, but, like, they did nothing. They said, oh, the IC belt means so much to Lashley. Oh, it does? Is that the story you're trying to tell? He's held the belt for about a month. It really means a lot to him. They didn't even show him as being like a champion. You know, all you did was basically have him, you know, fool around with Balor and shit. Like, we didn't even get a consistent storyline or whatever out of that. You know, and Lashley, just like, okay, he didn't get pinned. I know that's supposed to be the excuse there. Oh, well, he wasn't involved in the decision, so it's okay. You know, it's not like, you know, like he beat or pinned Lashley, and it makes it look bad. So, you know, they're like, oh, well, you know what, the small guy, he beat him, you know, like, he beat Leo, so he didn't beat the big guy. So, okay, but that's so, like, a cheap way of doing it. It's like almost like they're ashamed of doing it, but it still shows that, like, Lashley that got outsmarted by this goofball, and he ends up pinning Leo, and now he's the new IC champ. So they gave, you know, Balor another belt, so now the Smarks can shut up already, because, you know, they haven't given him anything since he lost the Universal title. Well, there you go. They threw a belt on him, and now he's the champ. Like, you know, I don't get what this value system is. It's like, how do they not look at somebody like Lashley and value him more than Balor? And, like, they haven't done anything to try to protect Lashley or make him look good. You know, like this is the best they could do. How did a company like TNA manage to get Lashley, you know, as over as they did with their lack of resources? You know, how did they manage to make Lashley look like a star? And don't get me wrong, he looks like a star, but they're not treating him like one. And, you know, right after this, they got a special on Mark Henry. And then Michael Cole says, you know, he gets all, you know, you gotta love when he gets all worked up, almost like a little kid. He goes, and they got a story on the new Mark Henry special where Vince McMahon says that, you know, if Mark Henry was going to compete in the World's Strongest Man competition, he better win, because Vince McMahon doesn't want the second World's Strongest Man in the WWE. I'm like, okay, you remember back in the day when Vince McMahon had fucking standards? You know, he wanted the best. He wanted the man with the champion. You know, he wanted the guy who's going to win the World's Strongest Man competition, the strongman competition, whatever they call it. But he don't have standards anymore where he'll make sure that a guy like Balor can't go over on Lashley because it would look totally ridiculous. Where were those standards? You're showing Mark Henry, you're showing this guy that could pull cars and trucks and stuff with his own body weight. And then they cut to, you know, to Finn Balor. I mean, I think Balor left the ring, but you get my point. It's like, where are the standards anymore? Where's the quality control where they make sure that the product doesn't look completely foolish? It's totally gone. It's out the window. They don't do that anymore. So moving on, you had Ronda Rousey defeating Ruby Riott. So they had Charlotte watching this match from ringside. They just had Ronda Rousey just beat her like in a minute. What was the point of that? They just crushed her. And okay, so that's maybe believable because she's not one of the tougher girls. But like, do you guys realize that Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan on their own on Raw, like what was it, about a week or two ago? You know, Ruby Riott's supposed to be the leader of those girls. She's the stronger, tougher one, supposedly. And what did they, and she's the brains of the operation, right? So what did they do? They actually have the leader go down faster, like way faster than the other two girls. So you know, they looked better than Ruby Riott because they're the ones flying off the elimination chamber and everything, looking all tough. And meanwhile, Ruby Riott's getting crushed here. Then they have Charlotte gets in the ring with Ronda. Then you have Cringey Lynch coming in. Stone Cold Cringey Lynch comes hobbling in on crutches. They don't even explain why she's on crutches, which was weird to me because I'm waiting for them to explain it. Now, I knew why, because on YouTube, they showed that they did a little skit on the house show where Charlotte like started like hitting her in the knee. But they don't even explain that. And I was listening for it. Unless, I don't know, my attention got diverted for 2 seconds. Let me know in the comments if that's so. But I don't think that it was. I did not hear any mention of that event where she did that to her. So, like, she's doing a better job. You know, she sold the wrong knee. That's why they gave her the brace and all that, which is just sad as fuck. But anyway, she gets in the ring, she hobbles in, she's making sure to sell it as best she can, and then she like completely forgets that she like hobbled into the ring and could barely get in there because she starts walking around bashing Charlotte with the crutch. And I'm like, man, not only is she overrated, not only is she overacting, not only is this comparison to Stone Cold completely ridiculous, but now she's even, you know, just total disregard for the whole storyline she's involved in and the gimmick with the knee. So she's beating up on her, and you know, then she stands aside so Rousey could beat up on her. And I liked, I didn't even know this, but Ronda Rousey is going to be voicing Sonya Blade, so she dressed up as Sonya, and that was pretty cool. That was actually the highlight for me up until this point because I was bored out of my mind. And Becky hits her in the back. So, you know, Becky's, I swear, if they have Becky going over Ronda at WrestleMania because Ronda is considering leaving, I mean, I would not be surprised at all. But like, I don't get this. They just basically threw, you know, Ruby Riott like fucking out of the window in a bowl of flames here. Baron Corbin, who's still wearing the dress clothes, he defeated Braun Strowman. They had Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley both come out. They put him through 2 tables off the steel steps. And like didn't like on Raw, didn't like Balor and didn't Kurt Angle, who wasn't even on this show, didn't even show him at all on camera. Didn't he come out to like help out Balor or help out Braun at one point? Weren't they tag teaming together? Wasn't that part of Raw? Wasn't there like a 6-man tag like on the last episode of Raw? Strangely enough, no one comes out to help him. Like, fuck Braun, let's just have him get the shit beat out of him. And that was basically it. And then they do the cringy, like, Braun Strowman, like, arms up pose to mock him at the end. And I'm just like, okay. You know, so they just beat him up for no reason. You just made the, you know, the monster among men, look weak. And I've been mentioning this, like, on my Raw reviews. When are they going to stop already with, them beating up on Strowman? These 3 guys, like, it seems like every single week it's the same 3 guys beating up on Strowman and nothing ever transpires other than that. It's always a prolonged beatdown. That's what this match was. It was a prolonged beatdown. It was basically like all the other beatdowns rolled into one, and it was really long and really boring. Then they had Lacey Evans walk out, and then she walked back the other way. And I'm just sitting there saying, what the fuck? Like, they had her walk out there. I don't even get that. Didn't they have her, like, before the Rumble come out and they teased like she had a chance of, like, winning the Rumble with Alexa Bliss, and then she came nowhere close? So then they just remind us, oh, she's still here. So, I don't know where she's been. I don't know if she's been back in NXT or what the case may be. But she walked out, and then she, like, what is it? Like, they do that a lot. Like, they do these weird, unexplainable moments. Like, I don't know what it was supposed to be. Like, she was changing her mind. Like, she's too good for the crowd or too good for the show or something like that. But, like, who's going to think outside the box like that? Who... like I said, they make it like it's some type of rocket science, like brain surgery. Like, you had her come out there and she walks away, so it just looks like a stupid moment that has no purpose. That's what the normal person is going to think when they see something like that. So then we had the main event, and thank God that it came as quickly as it did. Like I said, they showed mercy on this show. They really did. They didn't have it go too long. Bryan did a nice little short promo, and he's really the star of both programs at this point. Because at least they do have him shine. I mean, they had him look like a total, goof in the gauntlet match, having him get pinned first. And I don't know what all of a sudden their obsession with Kofi Kingston is. Like, I don't think they were going to do the same thing with, Ali, who got injured before this match. Were they really going to, have Ali go the distance, like, in this match? And I'm just watching, and they have, like, Kofi Kingston pinning Randy Orton in this match. And Samoa Joe, who, by the way, just, like, I think he only owns those one pair of shorts. I mean, I think, honestly, I wouldn't hate on Joe as much as I did if he did not wear that same fucking pair of pants. It's like so annoying. The fact that I have watched him since Ring of Honor and TNA, and he's never changed his pants once. I think one time he had like blue pants on, but it's always the same pattern. And it's not only he wears the same ones. It's like ugly attire he looks at. So when you see these wrestlers every week, it starts to grate on you, and you look at him, and you're just like, stop wearing that. It doesn't look good. It looks dumb, and it affects the wrestler's appearance is a big thing. I mean, it's all about presentation, right? I said, like, the presentation of these stars is very, very important. You know what I mean? It's like with an actor or musician. They come out there, they look the wrong way, it ain't gonna work. It defeats the purpose. Okay, so Joe comes out there every fucking week, and it's like, I don't know, I've never seen it before. It's like every week the guy forgets to do his laundry or something like that. You would think that the guy could afford some Tide. You know, he's working in the WWE. He worked for another, you know, billionaire, Dixie Carter. You'd think maybe he would have saved up some money for, you know, A, detergent, or B, a different attire or something like that. But he still comes in there, and he's the first one eliminated. They you know, waste all this time making the guy seem so tough. But then, you know, you have guys like Ali beating him up, pinning him, you know, like making him look like a total goof. So why do they even go the extra mile to make him seem tough? When they don't, he's the first one out of the match. Obviously, the first one out of the match means that's the one they give the least amount of shit about. So Kofi Kingston goes the distance in this match, and it reminded me of like that brief spurt. And I remember what it was when Orton was the champion in 2013, and everyone hated it. But then Kofi Kingston like pinned him out of nowhere, and then like they didn't even like follow it up. Like I think maybe Orton might have just beat him quickly the next week to make up for it. But they did this like weird thing out of nowhere when the product was really fucking boring at the end of 2013, and it was super cringy. I think it might have been better than now, but I'm just saying it was like they just out of nowhere had Kofi pin Randy Orton, and it was like really weird when they did. I remember, and I did a separate, not only did I rant on it in a Raw review in late 2013, but I also did a separate Kofi Kingston review, and I remember everybody like was hating on me for doing it. I hate Kofi. That, you know, people were saying that it was racist and everything like that. It's like, look, Kofi's a talented guy. He's athletic and everything. But I'm sorry, the guy, even when you look at his work in the New Day, he's like the least charismatic out of all of them. You know, he's the one who gets the fewest lines. He's just the guy who chucks the pancakes. And I'm watching a dangerous match like the Elimination Chamber. And like, first of all, let's go back for just a little brief moment here, because I have a few thoughts also that I want to talk about the women's match. So this had a little bit more of a serious tone, but during the women's Elimination Chamber match, it was like a joke. They had like they were laughing during it and everything, and Beth Phoenix, who by the way, I really do not like. I don't know what it is about Beth Phoenix on commentary, but she's super cringy. She sounds like really like, I don't know. It sounds like if you got like a librarian to do commentary. I don't know. It sounds very sterile, and I prefer Renee Young to her. And the thing is, she's like laughing, oh, the poor Iconics and all like that. It's all, and I'm just saying, like, you think back to 2002 and you think back to 2003 when they did the first ever Elimination Chamber matches. The first few were brutal matches. You remember even John Cena, the one where Edge cashed in, you know, blood pouring, because it made sense. It was a dangerous structure. It was all steel. Remember when they used to do the promos for it? It made this shit look like it was demonic, like a torture chamber. And it damn right was, because, you know, they get thrown into it. The glass, it would, you know, break their skin. They'd bleed all over the place. And, you know, I get, like, that they're more concerned now about their health and everything. But I always said this, like, why can't they use fake blood? Like, why can't they use the blood capsules or something? Like, if this is a show, if this is a performance, and these guys are slamming their heads into the glass and the bulletproof glass and into the chain link, like, how are these guys, like, not getting bruised up or battered or bleeding or anything like that? And there was a reason why they would do the blood, because it was more believable. And I was watching on What Culture, like, when Batista and Jericho, when they actually, like, disobeyed Vince McMahon, they bladed because they believed so much in their match that they thought it was stupid to have a cage match and not bleed in it. And that was a very good point. It's like, it makes no sense. They're bashing each other's head against the cage and, like, nothing's happening. They're all clean. And, like, at the end, like, Bayley and Sasha didn't even look like they're out of breath. They weren't selling any body parts. They looked fresh as daisies. It looked fucking moronic. It made it look faker than it already is, obviously. So I'm saying at least they could do is, like, you know, at least act like you're tired, at least act like you're, you know, bleeding. Like, okay, it just, like, it doesn't make any sense to me, you know. So, you know, I just, so many things bothering me. And it was the same thing about this match. They're doing, you know, okay, this was definitely better paced, because the women's match, they were like doing 1,000 fucking moves in it, trying to be like super impressive and going over the top, and just, you know, just less is more. Just like doing another pay-per-view, less is fucking more. Just like, at least in this, they sold and everything. They took their time. The end with Bryan and Kofi struggling on the top, you know, at least there was a little bit of that drama. But, like, I don't understand why they were so dedicated to Kofi just out of nowhere. Oh, he's there for 11 years. Okay, he's been there for 11 years. He wasn't even originally booked in the match. And all of a sudden, it's 11 years, it's 11 years. You were going to use the guy from 205 Live that no one even cares about. And plus, like, who was brain dead enough? You have Rey Mysterio on your roster. He wasn't even on the show, not even on the pre-show. What happened to the match with Almas, the feud with Almas? They forgot about that. Who would put Kofi Kingston in the match when you have the choice of putting Rey Mysterio in there, who would undoubtedly, like, be the most popular out of them all, like with Jeff Hardy? I'm saying, why would you not pick him to be in there? If you were gonna give anybody, like, to give Daniel Bryan a run for his money, it would definitely be Rey Mysterio. And I don't even know who they're gonna pick to face Daniel Bryan at Mania. Like, I don't know, because I looked around that ring tonight, and I'm just like, he's already faced AJ 1,000 times. God forbid they do that. Samoa Joe, he was eliminated first. They could go to Kofi route, and it seemed like people genuinely were, like, disappointed when he lost because there was a dead silence. But, like, could you imagine, like, after this, like, just seeing Kofi, like, winning the belt? I mean, I just cannot see him as a world champion. It just does not. It doesn't fit. He just doesn't have the charisma or the poise. Like, for everyone giving Daniel Bryan shit, I mean, just look at him before this match. Like, you know, he's getting into character. This, to me, is always a show stealer. If you've got a good character and you're dedicated to it, and he showed it right here, you know, that's why I'm a big fan of him. I've seen it ever since his Ring of Honor days. The guy's a great heel. He knows how to work a crowd. He's a good wrestler. You know, he might not look big and imposing, but, you know, if we're going to do psychological characters and you guys want to talk about work rate, I mean, I think he gets it done. So I don't understand all the Daniel Bryan hate. You know, you'd much rather have Kofi Kingston, like, win it on the principle of, oh, he's been here for 11 years. Okay, well, you know, a lot of these guys have been here for a long time. That doesn't mean that they deserve world championships. What a ridiculous excuse. So this match was okay. Bryan beats him at the end. Kofi jumps off the top. Daniel moves out of the way, hits him with the knee, and it's over. I mean, I watched this pay-per-view, and it's like, none of this really need to happen between, like, before the pay-per-view and WrestleMania. I mean, a completely worthless show. Just a total waste of time with, like, no purpose to any of it. We don't need tag titles. What was the point of Miz and Shane? Ronda didn't even need to have that match with Ruby Riott. They could have simply did that on Raw this coming week. You know, and giving the belt to Balor, like, for what reason? Like, you know, and just sacrificing Bobby Lashley. I mean, I would say, okay, maybe they're getting the belt off of Lashley to do big things with him, but there's no spot for the world title open for him. Who's he gonna face? I don't think anybody. Like, I just, like, what are they planning to do with these guys? Like, I'm looking at Drew McIntyre, and I'm looking at Bobby Lashley, and Elias, who wasn't even on the show. Like, how could they have a show and they have Rey Mysterio and they have Elias on there, and they're not using any of those guys? Like, those are, like, their most talented guys, and they're not even on the fucking show. I don't know, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching. You know, subscribe if you haven't already, guys. Hit like if you enjoyed the video. But I've had about enough for tonight. I mean, that's all I could fucking take. I'm like, bleh, like after the show. Anyway, guys, I'll see you next time.